Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Christine, and I've got my little buddy Owen just at my feet. So in today's video, I thought I would take you along with me as I make a blouse out of this gorgeous vintage tablecloth that I've had for quite a while. I've been, kind of saving it as a special piece. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with it, but now it's kind of been asking to be sewn with. And so I finally have a vision of what I'm going to do with this. But first, can you see the gorgeous color that it is? I think that's why it's so special to me. And I thought that maybe this was the original color, but then I noticed the label that it has is also the pink color. So I think that this was definitely dyed. I think that it was originally white and then it has been dyed. It does have stains here and there that I'm going to need to work around. But I just absolutely love the lace. So what I'm thinking about making from this tablecloth is a hacked version of my Manhattan top. I really love this top because I love the sleeves, the puff sleeves, because they're pleated and not gathered. I think for me, they feel really modern and they still kind of give the volume without being overly like gathered. So for me, I think that's why I keep gravitating towards this pattern. It is one of my free patterns, so I'll definitely drop the link below if you want to download your own. But I'm going to be doing a couple hacks to this pattern. So I think the most challenging part of this project is going to be the actual cutting out of the piece, because I want to really plan how I use the border pieces and how I place the design with the sleeves and the front and the back and the neckline. So this is going to be the big challenge. What I'm thinking in my mind is I'm going to hack the pattern, and instead of putting a seam down the center back like the pattern has, I'm just going to place the edge, like for example, this edge along the center back. So it'll be like this. And this will be the lower hem, and then I'll do the neckline here. And so both sides will be kind of butted up to each other along the center back and will be open. I'll probably need to put, some kind of closure where my bra would hit and some kind of closure at the neck. I got this cute little button. I don't know if it'll show. Oh yeah, you can kind of see this just like little lacy kind of button that I thought I could use at the center back. But I'm also thinking about doing a large bow like I have on the pattern, because I think this really is going to look so cute with a bow. So one of the construction hacks, I guess, that I'm going to do to the pattern is, instead of doing the full facing, I'm actually just going to do a really narrow bias tape facing along the neckline. It's actually exactly what I've done. This is my Mercer top that I hacked into a dress, and I did this shibori kind of look. This dress I made a couple summers ago before I was on YouTube. So I wish I had a YouTube video, but I do have a blog over on my website about how I did this. And the hack of how I made the Mercer top into a dress. Long story short, I'm gonna do the same kind of neckband that I did on this Mercer, which is just a narrow row of bias tape. And on this one, I did actually machine stitch it down, but I'm assuming most likely I'll just tack this one down by hand to avoid the machine stitching. And then I just did on this one, I just did a button in the back. I just kind of looped the bias tape. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do for the neckline. The other thing I want to work on is the length of the top. So I think I'm going to, kind of, because I'm not going to tuck the top in. I don't want to lose any of the pretty design. I'm thinking about using this area here for the front, so that this little three petals kind of hit, I guess kind of right below my bra. And that way this area, my chest is covered, and we have the sheer parts just at my waistline. But I'll definitely be playing with the length of the top just to make sure that I like the way it falls, because I definitely won't be tucking it in. So the biggest challenge of this project is I need a lining for the sleeves because of the way the sleeve is constructed. It actually has a lining underneath. And so because the color of this is so unique, I have this is this cotton lawn that you might have seen in some previous videos. I have some good scraps of it. And so I was thinking this would make a really nice lining, but I don't like the way the white looks underneath it. It's a bit jarring. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but this is a really special fabric. So I definitely want to try my very best to make this as exactly as I want it. So what I'm thinking about doing, this is going to be the kind of the unknown of this project, is I have a couple of scraps of this cotton lawn that are large enough for my sleeve lining, and then I have some other scraps that might be good for doing a couple little bias strips for my neckline. So what I decided to do is I have some beets in my fridge, and I decided to try to dye my cotton lawn using some beets to try to get this kind of dusty pink color. So I figure if I use the beets for my sewing project, it's a good excuse not to have to eat them. So I've looked at quite a few blogs about dyeing with beets. It seems pretty easy. So I'm gonna get started cleaning and chopping up my beets and getting it ready to dye my fabric.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden.
Okay, I think I am really happy with the way it's turning out. I let my pieces sit for about an hour in the beet juice, and I'm really liking the color. It's just a little bit dark, but I'm hoping once it dries, it's gonna be a better match. So what I'm gonna do is just hang these out in the sun to dry, and while they're drying, I'm gonna work on cutting out the rest of my blouse. The first thing I've gone ahead and done is just figure out how long I want my top to be. And I'm not including any hem because I already have a finished hem using the tablecloth. So I've just kind of folded up my pattern, and I've matched up my side seams of both my front and my back to make sure that they are exactly the same length, because I'm not going to be able to do anything with the hem because I'm working with a finished hem. So really, really important. I double checked this a couple of times. So now I'm ready to cut out my top. So the first thing I notice is there is a right and wrong side of my tablecloth. So I'm going to be mindful about that so I don't cut my sides the wrong way. And so I'm going to first start with my back. I love this corner piece for my back. And so what I'm going to do is just line up my back pattern piece, and because there is a seam on the center back, I'm going to place the edge of my fabric, the edge of the edging here, pretty close to the 5/8 of an inch seam line. So I'm kind of omitting my seam allowance. And then I'm placing my new cutting line along the bottom hem there. Perfect. And then I can just cut this out. Wow, this is gonna be so pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then I'm gonna go to my other corner and do the exact same piece, but mirrored. Okay, and then I want this 3-petal area to be at my center front. So is there a stain? There is a little bit of a stain on this side. So it looks like I'm going to go to the other side. Yeah, this one looks a little better. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of fold this in half. And that is going to give me my center front. Kind of match everything up as best as I can. There is a stain there as well, but I think I'm going to be missing that one. Placing this on the fold. And I think what I'm actually going to do is just to double check my side seam here. Yeah, so maybe move it up just a bit. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to cut it there. Just had to show you. This is gonna be so pretty. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I love the way this kind of falls around the sleeves. Oh, okay, so I think what I want to do is when I cut my sleeves, I want the upper part of my sleeve here to have a similar cut work. So I think that I'm going to use this center part of the tablecloth like that, I think. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to get to cutting. The very last piece that I need to cut is my beet dyed pieces. So this is the large scrap that I have, and this is how it turned out. It definitely has a bit of a tie-dye effect. I'm not sure exactly why that happened. It just is like some of the dye kind of got more concentrated in certain areas. I think if this was the outer garment, I would probably dye this again. I think I would dip it back in just to like even out the color, but I'm really, really happy with the color when it's behind my sleeve. So it's also a little bit of a dustier, I mean, it's very, very close, but the beet dye is just a little bit of like a dustier pink than this. I love, love, love this pink. It's just like a peach, soft. I love it. When this is behind the sleeve, I think it's totally, totally fine. And it gives that soft element that I wanted as opposed to the white, which was just really, really harsh. This is just going to be a nice, subtle underlayer. Look at that sleeve. Isn't that a gorgeous sleeve? I cannot wait to get this sewn up. So I'm going to cut out my lighting pieces and then get to work on sewing. My goodness, it's so adorable. I need to do the neckline now. So what I'm going to do, just like this one, I have a 1/4 inch bias tape double folded. So I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to trim the excess because this has 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm going to trim that down so I can use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and use a 1 inch wide strip of bias tape, fold it in half, and then I'll use a 1/4 inch seam. So that's how I'm going to finish the neck. I just cannot get over how cute this is. And so I'm gonna get the neckline finished and then I'll show you the end result.